So I heard you want to quit your job too? Well, I quit my 9 to 5 2 years ago and treated my life as an experiment. In this video, I am going to share the realities and lessons I've learned being on the move so that you can make your decision to quit your 9 to 5 with foresight. If you find yourself in a period of transition, especially if you're contemplating leaving traditional paths to live abroad, travel slowly, and build an intentional life, let's go on a hike. Seriously, let's go on a hike. So the big question now is, am I where I thought I would be 2 years after quitting my 9 to 5? Well, spoiler alert, I'm not exactly where I thought I would be by now. But I learned that we can't optimize life, and I started leaning into curiosity instead. After all, our best lives are a series of intentional choices that we make, and we do have to pick our heart. If you're a 20-something navigating through how to intentionally live your life, or you are taking time to ponder about what living with purpose looks like for you, I share stories on this channel of my past 2 years figuring out how to live a full-time nomadic slow travel lifestyle while going on unconventional solo adventures. I dreamt of a different life, so I took a leap of faith to quit my 9 to 5 corporate job and began trying to live a life that felt more aligned with my values, priorities, and interests. Now, I've lived abroad in 4 countries, slow traveled across continents, worked remotely, dabbled in side hustles, and also documented the messy and meaningful moments along the way. Also, I have the next 90 days to double down on making this whole make money from the internet thing work, because that's a timeline I've given myself to prove that it is possible. I graduated in 2020 with a 5-year master's degree in landscape architecture and worked in an architecture firm for almost 3 years. The job was pretty well paid, and I was lucky enough to have gotten that position right after graduation and before the world went into lockdown due to COVID. Being blessed with this job honestly took a huge financial burden off my shoulders as I could work and pay off student debt, and even rack up savings and investments. This was my first adult job, and it allowed me to have a great foundation step into adulting life. However, I felt stuck in a loop and was slowly finding that I didn't find much purpose with having such a routine of going to work in the morning, leaving the office in the evening, and doing it again on repeat the next day. It was a combination of wanting to get away, that the world I was in was too small, and there were sides of myself that I wanted to explore. It took me a year to try to pinpoint what alignment looks like to me and get a really rough idea on the kind of life that I want to live. In December 2022, I left Singapore and bought a one-way ticket to New York with a really rough plan to first explore living in North America, and then the rest is history. Right after quitting my job, I gave myself 3 weeks to reset and headed up north to Arctic Yellowknife, where I saw the Northern Lights for the very first time. While staying with a HelpX host in exchange for food and accommodation, I was still working remotely for my old company. That temporary setup gave me both income and time freedom, exactly the kind of lifestyle I was hoping to try. But I knew it wouldn't last forever. I had 2 big goals. Number 1, start documenting my journey on YouTube, and number 2, to get into a master's in environmental management to pivot careers slightly. And the catch is that the program only begins in October, and I wasn't even sure if I would get in. So for the next 6 months, I had to figure out what I was going to do. I tried to make the best of the free time that I had, traveling on the side, trying out side gigs, looking for opportunities, all while battling the anxiety of not knowing what is next. Eventually, I did get into the program and I moved to Europe, spent 10 months in Germany, and took advantage of scholarships to live and study in the US and as well as Norway. Honestly, the degree is much more of a side quest that enables me time to figure out how to build a lifestyle around meaningful work, travel, as well as impact. After 2 years of being on the road, I've learned how things can look like after quitting a stable job, and while it's easy to view the process as getting from point A to point B, I want people to know that the process of intentionally seeking a new chapter in life is so much more nuanced and is in fact a series of transitions. There's no doubt that the process will be filled with feeling lost for a while, especially if you've tied work to a huge part of your identity. Trying to figure out what a life you want to live looks like is not an overnight thing that can be optimized. Especially when you've followed the conventional path for 20 plus years, trying to break free from the mold without people telling you what's right can be challenging. I remembered feeling completely stressed out every day, being unsure of how I was going to walk out the next steps until I learned on hindsight the lessons that were embedded in this process that I am going to share with you. So let's start on lesson number 1. Freedom is not free. You still have to choose your heart. So quitting a 9 to 5 doesn't mean that you are trying to just completely escape work, but what it actually means is more of how you are trying to redefine work and the amount of time and energy that you are going to allocate towards work. In my case, I chose to pursue a travel-based lifestyle while at the same time trying to build my personal brand while being enrolled in a master's degree in environmental management so that I can pivot slightly in my career path. And for me, these are all concurrent endeavors while I actually placed my master's degree with the lowest priority. And that might be interesting to you because if I'm being honest, content creation and trying to make money off the internet is actually what's taking up most of my mind and energy right now. That's why freedom is actually not free. In replacement of the 9 to 5 that contributed to a stable salary, I now find myself spending a lot of time and energy delving into figuring out a way to be self-employed, and that takes up so much more time. But because content creation and documenting my travels is something that I am very curious about right now. Although I'm spending way more time working, I am actually feeling interested in what I'm doing. How do I tell a compelling story? How can I learn new techniques to film? And how do I spice things up? And there's just so many parts of the business to learn. So for now, that is a topic that I'm highly interested in. So the thing is, the hard part isn't just about leaving your job, it is actually what happens after. How are you going to stay committed towards the lifestyle that you were intending to live? And that requires a lot of effort and energy. Lesson number 2. There is no right path, so get used to treating your life like an experiment and stop waiting for the perfect plan because that will most likely keep you feeling more stuck. If you have a desire and you suppress it, the what ifs will haunt you louder than any risk ever could. So the truth is, we all question the road not taken, and having the chance to actually choose the path that you are going to take in life is a privilege, and it is the price that you have to pay for trying to live intentionally. I used to think that clarity meant knowing what to do, where to go from in terms of timeline. But what I found out was that clarity comes from trying and failing and pivoting and making adjustments as I go along. The thing is, you can't plan your way into purpose. You have to actually try things out and live your way into it. Looking back, I wish that I actually had more courage to fail faster and to not hold on to the opportunities that were not working out for me. If I had learned to pivot faster and smarter in knowing where to invest my energy and time in, I could have perhaps opened up more doors for myself. While we can plan for things, and it's a good thing, plan ahead and be prepared, but life obviously doesn't give a guarantee. For example, while I was in Yellowknife in the summer of 2023, the city of Yellowknife experienced a severe, crazy wildfire season that was unprecedented. And what actually happened was a mass evacuation out of the city. That unforeseen event actually meant that there was a change of plan overnight. We were asked to pack up our things and to seek refuge in Calgary. Things like this will happen spontaneously, and you have to learn how to be more open to the flow of life.
Lesson number 3. Define your own version of success and what is enough for you. For me, transitioning into a life after I quit my 9 to 5 is not about never ever going back to the corporate world. It is more about realigning my priorities and figuring out how much time I'm willing to spend working and how much time I want to leave for other things that I care about in my life.
Choosing a slower lifestyle doesn't mean rejecting stability or success. It's about, again, redefining what that looks like for you. For me, it wasn't about abandoning structure and refusing to go back into corporate world ever again, but actually about creating a version of life where I don't have to escape from, where work is just a little building block of my life, where I don't have to live to work, but actually have more time to live and do what is meaningful to me. You don't have to have it all figured out at once, but you do need to know what you are looking for and what you're not. Because if you don't, it's very easy to slip back into survival mode and taking on the next shiny opportunity just because it pays well or just because you are trying to get back to that sense of security. And trust me, I've been in that situation. The goal is not to escape work, but to find a rhythm that works for you and a version of life that actually aligns with your curiosities and your priorities. So while there are joys of having taken the path of leaving my 9 to 5, I would like to say that there are also the not so fun parts of it. The main point of my story is not about quitting the 9 to 5 itself. It's more about taking action to try to build a life that is more aligned to your priorities and values at this point in time. While I learned that you can't optimize life, you can have your priorities, you can leave room to live a little more aligned to your true self.
So maybe you can ask yourself this question. Are you running towards an intentional life, or are you running away from an uncomfortable feeling?
If you're curious as to how I decided to choose a life of travel and adventure over a traditional career, you know what to do. Until the next one, bye!